Um, Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, great. Sidhant will be joining in a minute.
I think,
Hey, hi Sidhant. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. Great. Just give me 1 second. Let me just make sure it's. Yeah, I think everything is on track. Cool. Hi everyone. So yeah, I'm Arjun, um, and yeah, that's Sidhant. Um, you can't hear. Um, I hope we are audible to others. Maybe it's a yeah.
Yeah, I think we should be audible.
We are audible,
Just
right? Great. So Avantika, it's probably an issue with. Maybe you should try refreshing. Maybe that should solve your issue. So great. So we have a bunch of questions which all of you had asked us using the form. We have all of those questions put up here on slides, and we'll be taking them one by one. And in the meanwhile, we'll also take up questions which you ask on chat. Maybe we'll get to that towards the end, or maybe we'll even do it in between. We'll just figure out how it works out. Yeah. So cool. So let's just get started. Um, yeah. So this is the first question which Prasad Rao had asked for Siddhant. Uh,
yes. So the question is basically asking me to explain my journey in terms of the effort and number of problems solved or something. Yeah. So my name is Sidhant. I'm a final year student at NUS. There's this university in Singapore, studying computer science, BTech. Um, I did Olympiad of Informatics in 2017, and I was able to go to the Olympiad and get a bronze. I was in it from I think ninth grade or something, so it's like around 4 years. Um, yeah, and then university I still do ICPC and stuff. Um, so I think I would say like it's roughly like I started in ninth grade, somewhere around that, and
so how did you first come to know about IOI, Siddhant?
uh, my school has a computer science club, and we had one
Mm-hmm.
of our seniors who came to IOITC, Yash Tiwari,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically kind of mentored me and like 3 4 other kids. We were in 9th 10th grade or something, and he was in 12th grade,
Ah,
and he had been to IOITC previously.
okay,
He introduced us to the paradigm, like Project Euler and everything, CodeChef.
great. Did your
Uh,
teachers know anything about the Olympiad?
I think after Yash went, then there was reasonable awareness. Like at
Mm-hmm.
least the computer science department, like the teachers knew that there's this thing, and it's like problem solving or like algorithmic in nature. And yeah, so like we had decent amount of participation from our school. Like I think 30 to 40 kids easily used to sit for the ZI or ZCO, the first one.
That's amazing. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
great. So were these from 9th to 12th, or was it primarily towards 9th and 10th because 11th and 12th were busy with
I think it was
JE?
primarily towards 11th and 12th actually
Okay.
in my school, because the in-school curriculum like C++ is introduced, and so people like
Mm-hmm.
pick computer science as a subject, get to learn it. In 9th and 10th, it's relatively few students who like at that time at least computer science curriculum did not have programming languages in 9th and 10th. Like
Mm-hmm.
at least not like C++ or Java. I think it was basic or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on your own that like some students.
So had you learned programming per se before that on your own?
I would say yes, but not that much.
Okay.
Like not having implemented things. Like
Okay.
I would know the constructs, that there is a
Mm-hmm.
construct of array or functions or something of those sort. But like at least like doing that project project thingy got me a good grip on like using for loops and
So
stuff.
how had you started programming at the very beginning? Did your parents introduce
Flash
you?
games, I would say.
Sorry, Flash game.
I think for a lot of students that's the case. Like I think a lot of friends of mine, and a animation stuff.
Okay. That's actually a relevant question. I think some few slides down the line asking how they can introduce very young kids to this. I think you should elaborate on this point when you come to that question.
Because
Okay.
I know like Flash animations in Flash are actually, you can do a lot with just like present PPT style, like
Mhm.
not with explicit code. But once you try to do like advanced animations or something, then you actually have to write code or like try to create some basic physics simulation, like acceleration, concept of acceleration, or like adding velocity to something or something.
Okay. Okay. So,
Yeah.
at what age had you started this?
I think 6th grade or something.
Okay, okay, that's very nice. I was like pretty on the extreme. So till about so in my school it started only from 11th standard. Till then we had a computer class which was, I don't know, paint, and we had like I don't even remember what we did. So yeah, like we used to play. I remember we used to play games. We used to go to the comp lab and just play games. And then in 10th standard there was this one random exam conducted by Infosys, which was a math exam, and we got selected. And they tried to teach us programming for like a few weeks, and they taught us so many languages. I had no idea what a variable was even after 3 weeks. I mean that was the kind of my stage.
Okay. Because it was like, okay, it was not like just one focusing on one.
Exactly. They tried to put a lot of knowledge into us, and without, or maybe I was just that. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't focusing on anything, but yeah.
Multiple languages.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when I started out from 11th, then it was just flow charts, and then from the very beginning, okay. Then I understood. Okay, these guys were actually trying to do something pretty interesting. Is just that
What was the CBSE board? Is it?
mine was CBSE. Yeah,
CBSE.
yeah. I have.
CBSE at that time used to have like similar like Turbo C and like.
Yes, it used to be Turbo C, but I was very fortunate to have a very a teacher. Even though my school was very focused on boards and like marks and stuff, this computer science teacher she took one entire month and she taught us only flowcharts in 10th standard. In 11th. So I had my foundations very well made
Like
from that
for
point.
logical constructs.
Exactly.
I think right now it's not like official syllabus doesn't prescribe.
Yeah, correct. Even at that point, I don't think the official syllabus prescribed this, but this teacher, like, she did it out of her own interest, which is what I think kind of drew me into programming in a sense. If it was just syntax and stuff, I would have probably gotten out of it at the very first chance I got. But yeah, that was pretty nice for me. Yeah. So yeah, please go ahead.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I started 9th grade, then I think I tried ZIO, ZCO in 9th grade. I cleared it.
So you cleared both ZIO and ZCO?
I tried ZIO, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was still not that competent in like programming as such, but ZIO is more like aptitude or a logical reasoning paper, so I think it's easier to crack even if you're not that good at comparing.
Okay, maybe we should take a minute here and just explain to people who might not know what ZIO, ZCO are. So let me just give. Yeah. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, so ZIO is Zonal Informatics Limited, and it's mainly like I think 3 or 5 questions.
4 questions.
4 to 5 questions, and
Yeah.
all of them are like somewhat objective and on a paper pen setting, and logical reasoning. It's not like typical maths numericals. It's more like given a problem statement, how would you go about? So you can think of it like simulating an algorithm on paper pen a lot of times. Like that's one of the approaches that happens, like that people do. And thinking about the algorithm using paper pen or like DP recurrence. And ZCO is the other route, which is Zonal Computing Olympiad, which is like similar to IOI, and it's like 2 problems, comparative programming problems, meant to be solved in 3 hours with partial grading. And both of them, like, I'm not sure how the cutoff works, but like some students from both of them qualify for IOI.
It's magical black box which happens. Yeah. So all this again. These. Okay, my voice is not audible. Okay, I hope this is somewhat better. So ZIO and ZCO again are just the first level in what we call ICO, which is Indian Computing Olympiad. The end of which is IOI, which is International Olympiad in Informatics, which is an international Olympiad as the name suggests, and 4 people from every country go there and participate.
It's individual event. It's not a team event. Like, even though it's just to clarify.
Yeah. So this entire process is to select those 4 students who represent our country at IOI, and
Is my voice audible now? I'm not
no, your voice was slightly low earlier, but I think it's better now.
Yeah, I moved the laptop.
Yeah. So that's the ICO process we've been talking about, which we'll continue talking throughout the next 1 hour.
So I gave in ninth, I cleared ZIO, and then I flunked IOI pretty bad. I think like I got 10 out of 200 or something. But that time like I didn't know a lot of things. But it was a good experience. In 10th and 11th, I cleared INOI as well, and went to the camp. I think both the times my rank was around like one time. I think it was in 10th it was like around 12th, and in 11th it was around 7th or something. I think in 11th I did stand a good chance to enter the team. But it was overall a very good experience. Like you get to meet like 25-30 kids from all parts of India. Like I think majority came from like Calcutta, Delhi, the metropolitans, and some from other states also. But like all having a common interest, which is quite cool. And like I remember still, and like a lot of people still have like contact with all these people, and like even in the younger like, batches, people like it's sort of a network that you build, which is I think very useful.
Again, to just explain what exactly this is. So the first level is ZIO ZCO. Then we have another level which is called INOI, which is the Indian National Olympiad in Informatics, which is again very similar to ZCO, except that it's harder than the ZCO. And then from INOI, around 25 to 30 students are selected to go to a camp called IOITC, which is IOI training camp, and that's usually a physical camp, which is held, which used to be held in Bangalore, and nowadays it's held in Chennai, where, as Sidhant pointed out, we stay there for around 10 to 14 days, and there are no, IOITC is not APIO. APIO is Asian Pacific Olympiad in Informatics, which is just an exam. It's not a camp.
It's like an Asian version of IOI.
So IOT is a camp where there are usually some lectures, and then there are 3 tests, which are 5-hour 3 problem tests called the TSTs, or the team selection tests. And at the end of the 3 TSTs, the top 4 students go on to represent the country at IOI. So Sidhant finished 7th in his 11th standard, which is pretty nice. And in his 12th, what was your rank?
I think I was
second, right? Yeah.
So but like obviously you have the advantage that people graduate also. It's not necessary that you are improving. It's like people above you also graduate from 12th.
So you went to IOI in 2017, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Pretty much it. Like I think those 2 years at camp were pretty good. And,
So would you say what was your knowledge curve? Forget your problem solving capability. That I'm sure increased over time, pretty much all the time. Let's take INOI syllabus, not even IOITC syllabus, INOI syllabus. When would you say you kind of, I'm sure in 9th you did not know everything.
Yeah.
When you went to 10th INOI, did you know?
Going before the 11th grade INOI, like 10th grade INOI obviously cleared, but that was a hard INOI. Like there were 2 DP problems, I remember. And
Okay.
they are hard. Like,
Okay.
Inclusion, exclusion was there. Like, since both of them were DP, and like I think INOI generally has this pattern that the graph question tends to be sometimes easier or more tackleable. 11th, I think before the 11th one, I was pretty confident, like having done a lot of DP problems and 3D and problems. And that time the pattern was something like I think it's still somewhat similar, that these 3 topics are the dominating topics for IOI testing. And I remember IOI training camp, and even like we get access to an online judge, which is basically a collection of all the previous year like IOI training camp problems and stuff, which has a lot of DP problems, graph problems. So I think once you go through them, I think before 11th grade, going into the INOI, I think I was pretty confident.
Okay. Cool. And what about? Okay. So would you say when you went to IOTC in 12th, like what was your confidence level that you'd finish in the top 4?
It was reasonably high. So there was this thing that I had, like I got typhoid like I think a week back or something.
Right,
So
right,
that's
right,
why
right,
I was
right,
a bit
right,
worried,
right,
like because
right,
it's more like 5 hour sitting stamina or like
right.
thinking thing. Otherwise, I thought I had a good chance. Yeah, because
Okay.
obviously like, other people also graduated. Like if I'm seventh before, and I can somewhat let's say maintain it, then definitely two people would have graduated or something,
Mhm.
and I'm hopefully should have improved a bit. So there should be a good chance.
Cool. Yeah. Answering Mansi's question, yes. So everything you're talking about is the entire ICO and the Informatics Olympiad is only for school students. That's right. Um, yeah. Okay. So maybe you can elaborate a bit more on the effort that you put in. So.
So, I mean, in ninth and tenth, I think I put in a lot of hours, but I didn't really care that much. I
Mhm.
mean, if I'm doing okay or reasonably good at academics in school, then my free time is kind of like my choice of what I want to do or pursue. So that time, and I reasonably liked doing comparative
Mhm.
at that point, like even without the incentives of like say college admissions or any other prospects. So I think in ninth and tenth I spent a lot of time, but like that wasn't really clocked in the sense that it didn't really. I think there was nothing else or better to do or no other expectation. So I don't think it matters that much. And it wasn't a grind also, I would say, because it was still I think the happy part of the learning curve where you're learning a lot of things,
Mm.
but you're not really. Uh, I think improving in problem solving is much harder than like learning things. Learning
Definitely.
is more like a theoretical thing that you can read up on stuff. uh, the improving in problem solving is more competitive in nature, that you have to be try to outdo someone else, like try to be faster in solving a problem or something of that sort.
Definitely. It's much easier to get out of a plateau when you still have more things to learn, which it's a concrete next step you can take. Whereas in problem
And also
solving, it's
there's no there's no hard defined structure of how you improve or how you even quantify that you are improving in problem solving.
correct. Correct. Definitely. Yeah. Um,
So
okay. So you'd say I mean, you started putting in a lot of effort. I mean, you were, even though you didn't care about it, you were pretty. I mean, okay.
in,
Let's say how many hours a week in your say ninth grade you would have put into this. Like, was it like 1 2 hours or was it like 10 20 hours?
I think like probably daily around like 1 hour, 1.5 hour maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Or obviously it wasn't a daily thing. It was more like we saw a certain problem, so we tried it for 3 days or something.
Mm.
Then yeah, maybe we don't do anything else further. Maybe we have a test coming up or something, so I don't do.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, but I would expect like I think 7 to 10 hours probably a week.
Okay. Okay. So I think this brings in another pretty important point, which I think is not obvious to a lot of people, which is peer group, right? So you just mentioned that we would solve. So
Yeah.
it's not just you. You had
Sure.
Yash and others in your school who.
Yes. So like in my school only, I think in that batch we had like 4 or 5 people qualifying for the training camp, like cracking through the the 2 steps, the ZIO step and the INOI step. So even before cracking through that step, all of this were like had a Facebook, WhatsApp, or a Facebook thread or something, and
Mm.
uh, whenever someone found an interesting problem on like on an online charge or something, they used to post it there, just like as a problem that they found good or something. And like generally they were not contest problems, so we would discuss them. A lot of them were spot problems or coaching problems, or like if like let's say we both, like me and another friend of mine, let's say solved it with 2 different approaches, then maybe we would discuss of whose approach is better or why does his approach work. Like maybe I'll try to understand his approach and vice versa.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean it's a strong motivation factor also, like it induces some sense of competition or yardstick to measure. I'm not sure if like everyone likes this process or something, but like
Yeah.
debatable.
I would definitely agree with you. So I mean, so for people asking for tips, I think this is a very underrated and a very useful, important tip. I mean, sure, there might not be people in your school who are interested in this. So one, you can definitely try to motivate them. But the second point is, I mean, now everyone is connected with everyone else. I mean, internet is super I mean, it's there everywhere, right? So try to find some peers who are somewhere along the same point of the journey as you are, and try to form groups with them. There are a lot of WhatsApp groups. You can find people on even on an academy. There are these learning programs which are being done, right? So get involved with the community and try to find people who you gel with, who are in the same level as you. And I think that is a very, very invaluable advantage in your journey. So as you were saying,
it kind of keeps you on track because it's a long process. It's not like a short.
Exactly.
You prepare for an exam for 2 months and you give it and then you're done with it. It's not like that. So having an internal motivation for that sustained period is, I think, very hard. And even I wouldn't have had it not been for, like, say, Rajat, who was from my school, who was a very close friend, is a close friend, and other people also who very actively were involved, which I knew. Maybe not in my school, like, for example, Nalin was another one, or like Animesh from Calcutta. But yeah.
Yeah, so these are people in Delhi and in Kolkata. They are not in the same school at all, right? But still, they gel very well and they motivate each other, right? So, Aryan, I understand people in your school might not be very interested, but I don't think that should limit you. Just the world is your oyster. Yeah, whatever platitudes you want to give, but yeah, I mean, it's actually true, right? I mean, it's very easy to connect with people. So actively try networking and find someone. I think that should be a conscious step you should take. No, you can't give IOI when you're in college, Ankan. So there is ICPC for that, but IOI is only for school students. Cool. Okay, so I think that mostly covers this. Let's maybe move on to one more question. Okay, so Adarsh is asking about setting problems for ZCO and INOI, and in particular that there are only 2 questions. Okay, so let me give a brief introduction about myself to give context for this question. So I've been in competitive programming since around my 11th grade, which was in 2009. So yeah, I'm pretty much a dinosaur around here. Yeah, so I went to IOTZ in 2009 and 10, and from around I think 2014, I've been very actively involved in the ICO process. Even 11, 12, 13, I think a bit, probably even, probably from 13, I guess. I've been pretty active for the last 4 or 5 years at least. Around 5 years, I think. But this year I'm not. I've kind of I've told them I don't want to be involved because I'm also helping with someone else train in for these exams. So I'm actively not involving, which is why I think otherwise I probably wouldn't even have taken this question. But now, given that I'm not doing it this year, I think I can give some insight on what we do. So that's actually a very, very good question. So one question which is asked is, why are there only 2 questions, right? IOI, for instance, has 3 questions. And in general, the more number of questions, it's easier to, in general, figure out who is better than the other. And it just gives a more layered metric on who is better. So why do we have only 2? So this is a question I actually have asked the people who are the top people. And the philosophy, as I understand it, is basically geared mainly towards not intimidating beginners. That is the single major reason why this is being done. So I've even at some point asked as to why can't ZCO or INOI and ZIO be kept for longer hours and with, say, 5 problems. And the reason, which I agree with now, is simply that it's very hard to get a beginner to do such an exam, because it's simply intimidating to go sit for 5 hours and look at 5 problems. Whereas if it's 3 hours and 2 problems, people are more open to that experience. So this might feel a bit weird and even unfair to people who are already in the community, right? I mean, you work for so many months, so why should we prioritize people who are not doing it and try to make it more I don't know, try to make it more easier for others, right? The concept is just that we are still a very, very small community, and so we actually want to do as much as possible to grow the community, grow the number of people taking these exams. So it is actually a pretty important metric from that perspective, and that I think is the single major point. As for another similar question, which is why not? I mean, given that the end result is selecting for IOI, the fairest method is to just have multiple IOIs at every step. So why are there differences? So it's not just the time and the number of problems, there are also some subtle differences which come in. Like, for example, IOI is full feedback, which means once you submit, you get the final answer right then, which has been the case for most of the years, except I think in between there was some token thing which happened. But that's not the case for either ZCO or INOI or even IOITC for many years. And the one reason that's not the case for ZCO and INOI is a very practical thing, in that ZCOs are held in physical centers where the internet is prone to getting disconnected if there's just some random power cut, and that actually happens like approximately in one center every year. I think that's been the case for nearly the last 4 years. I think every year we had one center where the power goes. So because we have like around 30 centers, I mean, random power cuts happen, and for like some 15, even half an hour, they just don't have internet in a single center. And to reduce the unfairness for those participants, we give the test data in advance so they can test it locally and play around with that. And even if their internet goes off, it's definitely going to affect them still, but at least the impact is lessened, right? And once we give test data, of course we can't keep it full feedback, and that's kind of why it's not full feedback in those particular reasons. And but a slightly more philosophical reason is that I personally don't think that just because the end result is IOI, every step should be exactly IOI like. And this is again a very, very personal opinion. It's not a very strong opinion either. I kind of feel I am more inclined towards selecting people based on their analytical thinking, less and less on full implementation skills, which is very important in IOI. So I tend to do that, but that again, like, there are multiple opinions here, which isn't particularly interesting. Yeah. So yes, I think. So how do you ensure that the right people land up at IOITC? I mean, we just try to do how much ever we can with those 2 questions. I mean,
I think there is partial grading which somewhat reduces the variance.
Sorry?
To some extent. There is partial grading.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Without partial grading, yeah, it'll be a horror.
And I've seen it increase over the years. Like I think in like earlier iterations it was used to be like 70, 100, but now it's like 3 subtasks or 4 subtasks.
Yeah, definitely.
Which kind of like the objective is, I think, still the same, that it reduces variance, or like it's a better metric.
Correct. That's definitely that's the thought process. Cool. Okay. So Harsh asks, who has qualified ZIO, train in the meantime for INOI. Okay. If you've already qualified ZIO, I mean, okay, maybe you qualified ZIO last year, maybe that's what you mean. If you have qualified ZIO, that means that you already have a pretty good analytical thinking, which is bent of thinking, in which you can think in like a processized way or in a the computational thinking, even if you are not, even if you don't know exactly what those things mean, you already have a good enough intuition of those. So I would think that it shouldn't be very hard to prepare for IOI. Which, so one, you obviously need to learn a program, a language. I mean, sorry, which isn't very hard. I mean, you can pick up a language in probably like a month or two max. If you already know some program, and learning C++, which is probably the best for any of these exams, shouldn't take like more than a week, I would say, learning the exact syntax. And beyond that, learning DSA, of course, is going to take a fair amount of time, at least a few months. But I think it's still definitely doable, particularly if you've already qualified ZIO. It should not be too hard. Okay. Yeah. Sidhant, you can take this.
Sure. I think so. I'm not sure how CF rating questions work. I'm assuming it's something that the way I can measure it probably is like, I think div 2Cs and div 2Ds will probably resemble the most with IOI questions.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Which is equal to saying div 1A or div 1Bs. Is it wise to practice primarily DPN graph? I think there is like in the officials, like IOI has an official syllabus which does have DPN graph and like a few other topics which are relatively smaller, so it's good that you cover them also.
Yeah.
I think there is prefix sums, there is greedy. Obviously, greedy is not a small topic, but I think even preparing for greedy is like just solving random problems, but you don't have a lot of structure in, I think, preparing for greedy itself. But yeah, I think DPN graph should be the primary things. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think historically as well, it's, I mean, I think probably like 80% of the years it's been one DP, one graph. I think that's mostly how it works. But yeah, you definitely should look at, I mean, in particular, like sorting, searching or something is something which you should definitely be familiar with.
Sliding window, binary search.
Yeah.
Topo sort. I know that topo sort hasn't been tested, I think, up till now or something. And like,
okay.
I was pretty curious that once it's tested, it will be pretty cool. Because I assume a lot of people don't actually read up on topo sort beforehand because it's slightly obscure.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What other sources are comparable to IOI?
I think Koki is pretty reasonable. Yusaku Gold, I'm not sure how hard it is.
Yusaku Gold is pretty hard. It's definitely harder than IOI level. Yeah. I think Yusaku silver probably.
Bronze or silver is probably.
Yeah, bronze and silver would be more relevant to IOI. And I think you can also look at a lot of other regional Olympiads. I think COI is pretty good.
Triple C, Canadian Olympiad.
Canadian is there. In all these things, you don't have to look at all the problems. I mean, definitely the harder problems are going to be much harder than IOI problems. But even which is the one which has the 7 problems in a contest? It's that is CEOI, right? Central European.
I think Koki a lot of times have like good numbers.
Okay, yeah, Koki definitely has a good gradient. Yeah, correct.
Like it has a good gradient. Like there are like 1 or 2 very easy questions.
Yes.
Harder.
Correct. Yeah.
And all of them are like available on online judges. I think some of them have been available on Spoj for a while or WCIP. I don't know how to pronounce it. Like,
yeah, WCIPC.
And there is another done judge also. Yeah, I know supposed to one.
Yeah. How is Singapore NOI? I don't think I've ever seen Singapore NOI.
I think the done judge is there. Singapore NOI is, I would say, hard.
Okay.
But it's also like gradiented, like kind of like Koki, because their idea is to get 30 people just through one round instead of 2 slab system of India, like ZIO plus IOI.
But I thought, wait, doesn't Singapore have like some school-based exams first, and then there is one level?
Yes,
is it?
I think each school basically sends some like 10 students or something.
Okay.
To write these exams. Tactical exam.
And it's just one exam, after which it's the training camp.
I think it's just one exam, and then it's another one. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have an explicit top 20, top 30 camp.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they have a concept of camp.
Got it. Cool. Yeah.
But they have a filtration.
Mm-hmm.
Like only 30 people will write the next exam.
Got it. Cool.
But so Singapore and IOI, like some of the problems will definitely be doable, but not all. Like some of them are meant to be only be done like by say the best 10 kids or 20 kids or something.
Okay.
So that would be hard.
Lollipop, when will the ICPC round be held? I mean, one, it's off topic, and two, we really have no idea. I don't think anyone knows, at least for India. Once we have, we'll definitely let you know, but we frankly have no idea. Any other questions which we missed? Okay. So this actually is an interesting question. So would you suggest looking at CodeForces or CodeChef or these kind of contests to prepare for Olympiad? What is your take on that?
I did that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really do a lot of CodeChef, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did lunchtime. I did do lunchtimes regularly, but not cook-offs. I used to do longs up to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And CodeForces contest, yeah, I took them very seriously in like 11th grade or something. Not sure really. Like from what I understand, CodeForces problem are generally lesser steps of reduction. Like 1 step, 2 step reduction.
Number of observations and yeah.
Yes, like the jump in logic generally comes at like 1 or 2 spots only.
Mm-hmm.
In Olympiad, that's not generally the case, especially in IOI training camp.
Okay.
Because it's a subtask system. It's like you build up something, then you try to improve it slightly, then you try to improve it slightly.
I think it also depends. It's also because of the number of questions, right? I mean, IOI and IPC have only 3, whereas this has 5.
It stands for like ICPC also to some extent.
True.
You have 10 questions.
Yeah. Cool.
Although I think CodeForces still adds a good enough motivation, like somewhat like intrinsic motivation if you want. Because if you're preparing on all these other regionals contests like Koki or something, you don't have a easy way to measure your like CodeForces. I think is good in that sense. But within itself, it's a reasonably fair metric.
Definitely.
Within itself.
It's a competitive.
That well to Olympiad.
Correct. How would we apply for APIO? So in India, the people who get selected for IOATC are eligible for APIO, others are not. That's usually how it works. Currently using to spread awareness. Samarth, okay, what sort of ways are you currently using? Okay, so this is it's a pretty deep question. To be very frank, I personally am not very involved with the school's initiative. It's headed by currently it's headed by Dhwani, who actually had a AMA yesterday. Yes, I definitely agree. It's a huge issue. The fact that ICO is not there are very fraction of the students who are aware of this. So historically, around like I think 5 years back, IARCS, which is the organization which holds ICO, had a collaboration with CBSE, and CBSE used to kind of promote ICO in a sense, just because CBSE has a huge network of schools. So that used to bring in a lot of awareness, but there were some issues and that collaboration was broken, and that saw a huge dip in the awareness. And we are trying our best to spread awareness as much as possible, right? But I think this is something which Anup usually talks about in his ICPC talks as well. It's because in the college level, it's very easy to get people interested in these. In particular, it's also easy to get college authorities interested in things like this, because the advantage that they get out of this, that they get of doing CP is very clear to them, right? Because it helps them in their job placements. Whereas in schools, penetrating the schools in India has proven to be a very, very hard endeavor. Um, Simply because you go to a school, they will not know what Informatics Olympiad is and they wouldn't care about it. Right? They won't even give you the time to listen to what it is. And so external evangelism in that sense goes doesn't go very far, which is why I think the main mode of spreading awareness is like every school, if there's at least one person, right, and that person can spread, it's this peer building exercise, which I think is the most effective way. So you guys know, so a lot of college students now know about Informatics Olympiad, right? And if you can spread it in your schools and go back to your old schools and spread it, because your school will listen to an alumni. They won't listen to some random company or random organization which come. Even if we tell them they were not for profit and we have absolutely nothing to gain out of this, but they still look at everyone with a huge suspicion and they just won't grant time to anyone. But if an alumnus comes and tells us this is something which is going to help your students a lot, that has a huge value, and I think that's the best thing to do. And I think the schools initiative is trying to do a lot of things around these things. But yeah, that's mainly my answer towards that. Is it possible to access IOI problems?
I think a lot of them on CodeChef right now.
Not a lot of them actually. I think only like 1 year or 2 years.
2 years. Maybe.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
Tried.
Yeah. So we are.
Definitely.
Sorry.
Find the PDF. I think they can find the PDF.
Yeah, so just Google it. It'll be there somewhere in the nook of the internet. But we will definitely try to get things in a public judge pretty soon. It's right now in a private judge, and porting it is slightly a pain. But we'll definitely we've tried to doing that multiple times. It's just we will definitely do that.
Just to mention, if someone wants to do that, I think you can still pretty much practice on them. The problems are like on I think there's some Dropbox public.
Yeah.
Along with the test area. And I think there are scripts already written on the Dropbox folder, or even like people have written themselves, just to automate the basic output checking or something on their own local PC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can still have a reasonable practice.
NCO is popular, yes. Aryan, that's pretty sad. Similarly, I mean, like it's funny, but it's actually sad that a lot of people confuse International Mathematical Olympiad with International Math Olympiad.
Yeah, but I think they are same.
They're exactly. I mean, like at least NCO and IOI sound different. They are like, but then IMO and IMO is so infuriating. Yeah.
And it's honestly a thing of awareness only. I don't think there is any like I wouldn't say that they're intentionally doing it or anything. It's like up to 9th or 10th grade, even I didn't know what like actual IMO was.
Yeah.
So but my school used to have this SOF Olympiad since like 6th grade or something, so I definitely knew about this one.
Yeah. It was the same with me. I used to give this NCO when I was in 6th, 7th. I thought, and then at some point someone was mentioning Olympiad and that how great it is. I don't know, I'm doing it since many years, and what is this great? Okay. And then only much later, like after a year or two, I realized what the difference was.
Next question or something?
Yes. I'm in 12th. How to crack INOI and get selected for IOTC if I have been preparing from September.
Similar to what we discussed.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like preparation is just make sure you know all the topics, and I think the best thing is to look at past problems and also sit and actually solve the 2 problems in 3 hours. I think time management is also a important point.
Yeah, or just like exam setting tips and tricks, like kind of like if you have, let's say, 10 or 20 minutes left, then you might not want to try a full question, but aim to maximize on the subtask or something of that sort.
About IDE and text editors allowed in ICO, it's there on the website. I think you can just look at IRCs. There should be a list.
It's generally, I think, like the things that you get in a default Linux machine out of the box. More or less the same things are provided.
I think all these are mostly things we have already covered. I'm skipping the things which ask pretty much repeated stuff. Okay, this is again pretty. Yeah, what shall I begin with? I mean, you should definitely begin with understanding. Like, you should be very comfortable with programming. You should take up one language, preferably C++. Java is also fine. I would not recommend Python at all. And in particular, and actually, I think this year Python is not even. I think even last year Python wasn't even allowed in IOI, if I remember right. So definitely only C++ or Java. You use C++ only, right, Sidhant? Yeah. So you should be definitely very comfortable with the language of your choice, and after that you should pick up DSA and do all these topics. I don't think hardware programming, it gives you an idea of what programming is, but probably doesn't help you so much when you come to DSA. But it's definitely good that you have at least that background as opposed to nothing. I mean, I think ZIO again, the one important thing is to first complete all the topics, right? I mean, there are these training modules which Sidhant has in fact helped prepare a lot of them. I think they are a great way to start out things with, and you should prepare a lot of. You should practice on a lot of the old problems. Yeah.
A lot of past year, like I think you can find like easy last 10 years of ZIO paper.
Yeah.
That's like a good 30, 40 questions, question bank.
Correct. I think right now we also have editorials for all of them. They might. I think some of them are pretty decent. That should also help.
Or like I think people have discussions on ZIO solutions on Common Launch. There's this platform.
Yes.
And I think one or two other places. I think CodeChef discussions also has some of the solutions.
I think CodeChef Discuss right now has most of the solutions, but Common Launch definitely has some very, very good quality answers, particularly from Keshav himself. But I think it's not that active right now. At the last I checked, it's not active.
Like a bunch of like hints that you
Yes. But you should definitely check up Common Launch as well. The hints there are particularly very, very nice. Oh, really? Okay, that's pretty sad. I did not know that. I checked Common Launch like some couple of weeks back when it was up. I did not know. It'll be very sad if Common Launch is down. Okay, let's hope it's a temporary issue. Lollipop, please stay on track. Yeah. At 3. Okay. Cool. Sure. Lollipop, please stay on topic. And anyway, I mean, we definitely want to increase contest. I mean, it's not. Why would we not want contest? Be reasonable. Yeah. How many months is it? I mean, I think aiming for IOI from the very beginning is a bit too much. I think you should aim step by step. First aim for ZIO ZCO, then for IONOI, then for IOITC, and then IOI. Yeah. So don't think. I mean, it's always good to have that aim in your head, but I think actual realistic planning, it will be better if you start doing it one step at a time. I don't think you need to be very discouraged about people who've been doing for many months. Sure, they'll have an advantage, but that's just an extra challenge that you can take up. Yeah. Okay, so did you prepare for JEE, Sidhant?
I tried to. After some time, I think 9th and 10th I was pretty non-serious about it, but I think I was still going to some coaching institute for G. 11th, I think midway I dropped out of G because of like this Olympiad preparation thing. I was trying to balance it. I personally couldn't do it that well. Also, just like, I don't know, discipline or lack of interest or anything. That I didn't have much discipline or.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's definitely possible. I mean, there are definitely people who go for IOI who've done very well at JEE as well. I mean, Kushagra is the first one who comes to mind. He's in IIT Bombay now, who spent quite a bit of time IOI as well. So yeah, it doesn't have to be exclusive.
Yeah, but I think it's still a somewhat rarity. Like I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah.
Like if the aim is IOI, TC or something, then I think it's way more realistic or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like even just seeing the previous numbers or something. Like a lot of IOI TC people have very good ranks in JEE or like perform very well in JEE. For IOI itself, I think because the gradient within TC is quite large. Like the person who comes like say 5th or 7th might be reasonably much better than the person who came, let's say, 25th or something. And to cover that gradient, you need to spend time, and then the time management thing basically. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a hard problem to solve for anyone.
Definitely. Yeah. This is an interesting question, Sidhant.
As a school student, I think, as of now in India at least, this is probably the most accessible and quantifiable way to go about CS. Like, I would guess like if someone has an interest in app development or something, then do go ahead. But like, you can't quantify ML, like learning, machine learning or something. And I personally like the competitive aspect of competitive programming. That you have a ranking system, you have a contest, you get AC or something. It's not even the problem solving part, but just the competitive part. At least I used to like it a lot back in 11th, 12th. And it's not there, that competitive thing is not there for a lot of other domains of CS. For example, there is Kaggle.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's popular in high schools right now.
Correct.
Also, I think the prerequisite is very simple. Like it's discrete maths at the heart of it. Like picking up ADA or DSA is much more feasible for a high school student than picking up machine learning, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like the prerequisites are simpler.
Cool. So I mean, in a nutshell, you don't have any regrets on doing
it? Definitely. I mean, I didn't do like normal PCM stuff. I'm happy with that.
Fair enough.
This is too optimistic.
Cool. Studying in 9th and 9th coding. Where to start preparing? Problem. Yeah. So I think again the learning program which is being conducted right now by some volunteers on CodeChef, I think is a very, very good. So Sidhant, are you involved with that? I'm actually not sure. In the current one you're not doing it. Yeah, you were. So Sidhant was very active in the previous iteration. This now currently I think they're just kind of building upon what Sidhant and others had built earlier, with a lot of very good people after that as well. You should definitely check it out. Do you have the link? I think it's just CodeChef.
Okay, not the current one. The previous one was DSA learning. I think that was the name. CodeChef DSA. Also, particularly for math, I would say, like at least this is like a lot of people I know have done this. Taken up math NCRT of like 10th, 11th or 12th grade and tried to solve permutation combinatorics related questions or chapters. Not all the topics, obviously. You can't cover maths of all the years in like grade itself. But they're like, I think 2-3 chapters are like permutation combination is very essential.
Okay.
Induction is quite good. Mathematical induction we are taught in 11th or 12th grade. Like these 2-3 topics don't really have a lot of prerequisites. It's not like you can't learn permutation combinations without knowing trigonometry or without knowing XYZ topic.
Okay. Yeah, so Aryan has posted the link, which I've posted again. So Aryan is one of the guys who's very actively involved in that. So please look at this link. I think this is one of the best resources right now for you to start out with. So yeah. Cool. So moving on. What to prepare for ITC? Yeah, I mean, I think that's a personal question you need to figure out on your own. What should be the level of that rigorous and CP required to perform well at IOI? Again, I would, I mean, my answer would be the same. Don't worry about IOI right now. If you're starting out, worry about ZAO, ZCO. I mean, keep IOI as your aim, but I think prerequisites and level of knowledge, I think it's always better to go step by step. So think about ZAO, ZCO, for which I think again these learning modules are very good. Yeah. How much you need talent plays in your success? Do you think good enough? Okay, Sidhant, you want to take this?
I mean, I don't know. I don't. I mean, definitely there is some aspect of like having a natural inclination towards these things or something. I won't deny that there is no such thing as like having an interest in something or just a knack for that, like that you like to think about those things more. Say someone likes to think about CS topics more, someone likes to think about physics more.
Correct.
But I don't think it's a deal breaker. I mean, if you are interested.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with this. I mean, I think even at IOI, when you see the students who qualify for IOI, it's sometimes easy to classify them into these two parts. So one, I mean, you sometimes people who are just like super into it, as in they just fine tuned to it so much. But then there are others who work very hard and get to the level, and they very easily beat the other person, right? So I definitely.
The fact that here there are students going to the team who tried for 2 to 3 years before that.
Correct.
Kind of reflects that the process is not just innate talent. Otherwise, the student should have cracked it in the first go itself. That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He required 2-3 attempts, so definitely there was progress.
Yeah. Good tools. Okay, so this I mean, Sidhant's answer is clear for this. Flash games. Yeah. I would also suggest you can. Yeah, you can look up Scratch. So it's a tool by MIT. And also this, what is the turtle programming called? I forget what it's called. Logo. Yeah, I think Logo and Scratch are two things we should definitely look into for this. How and where to learn maths required for CP? I would again just say the same link. I think that has all the resources put into it. Even the math is, I think, covered in that. What languages do you need to know in programming? Languages, you just need to know one language, preferably C++. If not C++, Java. I would suggest not anything apart from that. What is dynamic programming? I'll not go into it. It's one of the techniques or one of the topics that you learn. It's just a paradigm of solving problems. Yeah. How did you start? When did you learn? Okay, I think this is something which we already covered. What should be a start? Yeah, I think again it's pretty much similar to what we've discussed earlier. I'll skip that. Yeah, so for people where schools don't stress much, I think again networking I think is the huge part which plays. You can just again join these tracks and get to know people who are with you. So Sidhant, your next session is at 3, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think most of these. Yeah, I think that's about it then. So cool. So let's wrap it up here. Thanks a lot, Sidhant, and thank you everyone. See you. Bye. Thanks for your questions. Bye.